Here today with Kyle Hall, founder, CEO of PayKings. They are a payment processing company, and Kyle has seen some smashing increases in his conversation rates, his reply rates with his leads through his funnel, and he's going to tell us all about it today. Kyle, thanks for hanging out with me.
Hey, appreciate you having me. Yeah, I'm super excited to talk about the integration.
All right, catch me up to speed on what you were doing before Sendblue and how your process worked and what you do now.
Yeah, so initially we started with an integration into Twilio. Twilio is super developer friendly, and it was just kind of a super easy integration, really good place to start. I believe they support SMS texting, which we integrated into the system, and it was great to get us texting capability. However, along the way, we started having conversations with our customers where we would say, hey, we sent you guys an application link via text message, or you should receive application updates via text message. And for whatever reason, they would just, generally speaking, they would respond and say, hey, yeah, I didn't see a text, or I didn't get a text, or what number did a text come from? I don't see it. So that is what kind of led us down the road of searching for an alternate solution to try to just, solve that problem. Because a big part of, I think, well, now what we see a big part of the solution was we didn't even know this was a problem until we implemented Sendblue. And then we started seeing the response rates, and we started seeing these merchants who generally thought SMS wasn't going to be a great channel for us. And then, Sendblue came in, we integrated that, and then we started getting responses back in 10, 15 seconds from merchants. They would instantly see the messages. They would start responding to us. We could engage with them in real time while we have their attention. We'd send them links, we'd send them requests for files or anything like that, and we get responses instantly. So it has massively improved our response rates and just generally speaking, helped us close more deals.
Heck yeah, I'd love to hear it. How do people come into your funnel, and then where does Sendblue sit?
So being a payment processor, generally speaking, the first touch point that we have with them is through our website. They come to the website, they submit a form. Essentially, that form allows them to receive an online application. So that online application is relatively similar to, I would say, applying for a credit card or applying for a loan. It's a similar application. So in that kind of the first touch point that Sendblue comes in is the application link, right? So we do send them an email. However, generally speaking, we find that a significant portion of our customers are applying on mobile. That first touch point coming via a text messages that just kind of pops down. Almost everybody's notification preferences are set up to where you're not getting the pop down notification for emails, or you get spammed all day, but you do for text notifications. So right out of the gate, we saw that by implementing Sendblue, which I believe Sendblue, the way that most companies, like most text providers, Apple, Android, they don't show those pop drop downs for unknown senders, or they don't show them for what they consider spam texts, right? So text received from an unknown number comes in as an SMS, feels spammy, right? So they don't show those notifications. Sendblue does, right? So every time they get a notification, it's like, hey, I just applied, I filled out this form, I got information, boom, I just got a text with my application link, and then they pivot right over. So we saw a huge lift from email notification to Sendblue text notification just by hitting them on text. And then with that application link, they just pivot right over and they start filling out the application on mobile. So that was a huge increase. And that's kind of the first touch point that Sendblue comes in.
Nice. It's like you made the texting is the new funnel there.
Yeah. Because otherwise before what we were having to do was just tell them like, hey, go check your email for this ambiguous application link that, may or may not be in your inbox. Or, hey, we also sent you a text, but you might have to filter by unknown sender to go find it. So it just completely eliminates that as a friction point.
Awesome. And you're not using one of our built-in CRM plugins. You're not using Go High Level or HubSpot or Close CRM. Tell the people that might be watching that are building the custom integration what you did and how you leveraged our API.
Yeah, so the API was extremely easy to use. We actually, from sign up to completion of the entire integration, was about 3 hours, to include testing and all of it. I mean, it was super well documented. Every response was perfect. I mean, speaking to all the developers out there, accurate documentation saves a lot of time in the testing, because generally speaking, when you send out a request, and the payload's different than what you're expecting back, it's super frustrating because then you kind of have to guess and you've got to work your system in different ways. So if you are building it custom, like it was, documentation was just absolutely on point across the board. We didn't run into a single issue. We didn't run into a single point where we had questions that we weren't able to answer via the documentation. Everything matched up. It was flawless.
And I think you signed up for like the free API first. Did you build everything like for free?
We did. Yeah. So we did end up signing up because, so we were, essentially just trying to solve a problem. And at the time, we had Sendblue further down in the pipeline. We were essentially able to utilize what was available in the free version to kind of get that inbound first touch point. But then we saw such a lift in, where it kind of sat in that pipeline. And I think at that point, we were just using it for like application updates. We were essentially like, hey, you're already here. You're in the pipeline. You have reached out to us. We've made a connection to you, and our bank is asking for processing statements or bank statements or an EIN letter to essentially verify the account. And at that point, we kind of were able to get around that inbound first requirement. But then we saw so much lift from that aspect of it. We were like, we have to sign up for I forget the name of the plan, the next
Outbound
tier.
first. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next tier of the plan, which gives us the outbound capability, because it was like at that point, once we'd realized like, hey, this is extremely effective, right? Like the ROI on having it as that first touch point in the outbound first was very clear. I mean, it was obvious. So it was like, yeah, it's a no-brainer to continue on and get the next one.
Love it. Well, thanks for sharing all this with me. Who signed you up for Sendblue? Who was your sales rep?
I think we came in,
Was it Justin Ramos? I think I saw. Does that sound right?
it was actually a pretty roundabout way. So we had signed up for Apple Business when they just launched their new Apple Business program, and we were on their legacy plan. Our rep called us and they transitioned us to the new one. And part of that was the brand, I forget what it's called. It's like, essentially where you can manage what your brand looks like to external customers inside of the Apple ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, that sounds fantastic. Like, is there any way to tie that to texting to where we can essentially, like when we text a customer, like they see our name and they see our profile image. So it doesn't come across as like, just something that is not a random text. And it was our Apple Business rep that recommended you guys. Yeah. They said, yeah, you need something like a Sendblue or something. I said, oh, okay. Yeah. Sounds good. So I Googled you guys.
They say like, is that because like, I don't think Apple Business can send an outbound text first. Is that why?
They can't.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly. So they essentially said like, yeah, we don't have the capabilities to do what you're asking. We can manage the brand aspect of it, but you need an external service like a Sendblue to handle that piece of it. So
Gangster. Love it. Thanks, Kyle. Someone's watching. They need payment processing. Who do you serve? How can I get in touch with you?
Yeah. So, I mean, we pretty much serve every industry, every market, every volume level, from a startup to an enterprise merchant processing $1 billion a year. We have all of that information available, to include our pricing, on our website, paykings.com.
Paykings.com.
Sign up, you'll get a text from Sendblue.
All right. You want better payment processing, more reliable payment processing, cheaper payment processing? Hit up Kyle on Paykings. You want higher response rates? Hit up Sendblue. Thanks, Kyle.
Yes, sir.